Welcome to the Skate Like You podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mark, Skate Like You podcast here with Matty Ice. Matt, you know what's so funny is I should have just asked you this before. How do I correctly pronounce your last name?
All right, so I've heard so many different pronunciations. You've had McCaughan, McCaughan, all that good stuff. It's actually McCaughan.
McCaughan.
The G's actually kind of silent in there. But when I was growing up in school, a lot of the teachers used to call me Mr. McCaughan, so I had to get used to that. I don't know how we got to that, but that's what I used to be called there.
Trust me, if anyone can relate, I can, especially moving to Pennsylvania where French names are few and far between.
Oh,
So I get Vachon, Vacone. Everyone tries to make me Italian. Like, hey, Mr. McCaughan. I'm like, that's not how it goes, dude, at all. But
is it Vachon? Is it Mark Vachon?
Like the very kind of like English way to say it would be like Vachon. Like
Vachon, okay.
My elder family like say like Vachon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Luna Vachon, Mad Dog Vachon.
Yeah. We
basically have a wrestling background. Is super classy.
Oh, nice.
Not that I'm not related to any of this. At least I don't think. But all right, man. Well, welcome aboard, man. I'm glad you're doing this.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Nervous at all? Were you excited?
A little bit. This isn't. I don't do a ton of podcasts, so of course.
No, you don't do a ton.
Yeah, but
how many is this?
This would probably be, as far as live, I would probably say maybe my second.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Long format.
A different format, and it was like not video, so it was more like like fantasy football kind of thing.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, this is going to be way better.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, man. But yeah, thanks for hopping on. So for those of you guys who don't know Matty Ice, now you're Philly born, bred. Is that where you're from?
Yeah, well, it's just outside of Philly. I mean, I guess you can say that. It's like Ben Sounds, like just outside of Philadelphia. But I mean, we're right there. We're knocking right on the door. So
right. If you were in California and somebody asked you where you're from, you'd say Philly.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. Now the question I ask everybody, just to hop right into it, and you've probably heard me ask it. Do you remember the first time you ever put on a pair of skates?
I do, actually. The first time that I put on a pair of skates, I believe, was at the 49th Galleria, which used to be in the Franklin Mills shopping center, the mall. That's when I was like super duper little. This is when, I think my brother was going at the time, and we had visited there. And that's really where I first put them on. But the first skating rink that I skated at was Cornwell's skating rink, which they actually tore down, and that was in Ben Salem as well. But I think it all started when, I met a friend of mine named Jake, and we had a school, the school skate parties that you have. And it kind of just took off from there. We went to that, skated around, had a good time. And then from there, it was like, hey, why don't we go and do this kind of thing? And then one thing led to the next. You get your skates, and then you just kind of, go about how you go about. But yeah, I would say that's where it probably took off.
So that birthday party, like, about how old are you?
So I would say that was probably in 6th or 7th grade. So maybe, I guess, like, 12, 13, considering it's been a long time.
And although you have previous skating memories, are you saying that, like, that at that time, that was the time, though, where you kind of, like, maybe got the itch or you felt the bug or something?
Yeah, like, I kind of felt, like, I went, and then, it's like anything else. Like, you start something, it's hard, right? And you're like, okay, I don't know if this is really for me. But I feel like the whole drive was, seeing other people and thinking like, okay, well, they got there somehow too. And the only way to do that is to continually go. So, one thing kind of led to the next. Me and my buddy Jake would go all the time. Next thing you know, we're shuffling together and learning different things. And, it kind of just took off from there for the most part.
So you guys were like just starting at the same time?
Yeah, both of us. Yeah, and I actually met. We became friends in 6th grade, and over a pair of sneakers actually. And then Deion Sanders, I might mention. So it started there, and then it kind of transferred to the skating thing. And then you know how it is too. Like when you go all the time, and we used to go every Friday and Saturday, like that was our thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you go, the more you come in sync with each other. You learn all the little things that each other do, pros and cons, whatever it might be. And, like I said, one thing led to the next, and, we just kind of went every single weekend. That was just our life.
That's it's kind of a unique situation though, because although, unless like it's like with my situation, I had an older brother and older sister that skated, and they
Right.
brought me into it. You don't hear a lot. I don't know if I ever have heard of a situation where like two friends, just happen to go to a rink together, and then but simultaneously
Correct.
like kind of stick with this thing. It's usually like somebody goes or whatever and gets it, or maybe you do go with friends, but only one of you is sticking around. Everyone else
Right.
is
Right.
just the thing that you did once in a while. That's really interesting. So is this guy still around? Is he still skate like?
Yeah, so he doesn't skate as much. He actually he moved up to New York. Probably I want to say, man, I don't remember how long ago now, but he moved up to New York. So obviously at that time though, when he moved up is when I kind of was transferring, like kind of getting out of skating, because at the time, like they used to. So I don't know. It's a lot different now. Like when we used to go, there would be things set up. Like I remember going to a session and it would be like, they would start off with a slow skate, and that would be the first special, and then
Yeah, there's like a
there would
schedule.
be there was a whole schedule, and it's a lot different now. But when he moved up to New York at that time, I kind of like got away from it, I guess, for the most part, and then there was just like a period of time where I thought about doing it, but the skating rink like I knew that it was going to be time for them to start closing, because it started as a half skate and then a half dance party. And as a skater, once you see the
Yeah.
dance party come out, you're like, I'm out. Like this is not what I came here for. So that kind of played a part into it as well, and some of my own personal bad decisions played a part in it. I kind of took a different road, and maybe that I shouldn't have been on, where I should have stayed on the road of skating.
Mm-hmm.
But things happened, and I just kind of veered from it. And then like I said, getting all back into it just was something that if it wasn't for my wife, I probably would have not started to get back into skating, because I thought about it for some time, probably over the last 4 years or so. I thought about it. But I had always felt like, leaving my house or leaving my son and my wife, and if I'm there and I'm feeling bad, then I can't really enjoy myself
Mm-hmm.
skating. So, she had just told me, like, look, you're going to be 40 years old. Now's the time. If you want to go do this, you got to go do it. So, I owe thanks to her, because if it wasn't for her pushing me, I would have never actually gotten to the point where we are now to even get back into it. So
Okay, and I want to delve into that a little more. I just want to make sure. I want to. So the rink that you were at that would eventually close, with this place where you kind of caught the bug and you were going on a regular basis, that would be like your first home rink, would you say?
yeah, that was
And
Cornwell. It
what
was
was the
called
name of that place?
Cornwell Skating Rink.
Cornwell Skating Rink. And how long after you kind of like stopped going there did it shut down?
I don't remember exactly, because like I said, I was so far out of it at that point. I do
Mm.
remember seeing, because there was a charter school next to it, and the charter school was trying to buy the skating rink.
Oh, okay.
And a buddy of mine actually had tried to put a bid in to try to save that rink.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of one of those things where if the school wants it, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And eventually, that's ultimately what happened, and they tore it down. I don't remember exactly how long ago that was. It was sometime, I want to say at least like 5 years, 6 years ago, that it was torn down. And I did try to sneak back there to take a brick or a piece of the floor.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, did not succeed there, because for some reason, the construction guys said that we weren't allowed on the property in case we got hurt, and they couldn't give me
Some
anything.
reason, yeah, that crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm just thinking like, hey, you couldn't just toss me over a piece of the floor. Like that
Right,
was my whole
right.
childhood.
Yeah, no,
So
I get it. Yeah.
it was definitely
Oh,
upsetting.
yeah. No, I mean, I thought the same thing. So, like, because the rink that I went to, uh, speaking of like French stuff, there's a chain of hardware stores in New England called Aubuchon,
Oh,
and our rink was right behind an Aubuchon hardware.
okay.
And the parking lot was back there, and like, you know, even after it closed, I think it became like some type of like, I don't know, weird kind of automotive storage facility, like, but
Right.
like hoarder edition type thing,
Right.
like somebody owned a business or a garage, and like if they, you know, they just kept it was like their own personal you pull it spot, you
Okay.
know, but it looked like the kind of place where some old man had absolute like an organization method of chaos, but he probably knew where everything was, you know.
Right. Right.
But I, you know, so I would, anytime I'd go home and visit, I'd always pull around back, and I just go sit in the parking lot
Yeah.
just because I don't know, man. I don't know why, you know, but I
Yeah.
would look, and I could see like where they took the letters off of the side of the building, like it was still faded. You could see the outline of the letters, you know,
Right.
and I every single time I ever went there, I would go and knock on the door, and just same thing. We had a blue floor, you know,
Right.
like that epoxy kind of that
Oh,
sat
that's
down on
cool.
top of
Yeah.
the yeah. And I just wanted to be like, I literally like would have like a razor blade, like not going to the door with a razor, but I mean
Right.
like you know like a utility knife. I would make sure I'd have one every time I went, because I was I would try and knock every time and just be like, dude, can I just cut like a square of
Right.
like
Yeah. Just like
this?
a
If
little
that,
piece.
yeah, just that. Like if there's any left, and nobody was ever there. I don't even know if it's still there now. But yeah, I don't know what it was, man. It's the only place other than maybe like one of the one house that like I spent the majority of my childhood.
Right.
That the rink and that house were the only two places that when I would drive into town, I would go and like
And
just
visit.
yeah sit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, so that's got to say something, man. But now, what I'm interested in knowing though about this rink. So how many years ago is this? Would you say from like when you started to when you stopped going? Just an
So I would say I probably skated from like now we're talking like with my buddy Jake, probably like from 12, 13 up until like we were maybe 19 or so.
okay.
And then, you know, we kind of stepped away for some time. Obviously, I just turned 40 and I just got back into it about a year ago. So
So
too.
this is like 25 years ago, basically.
Yeah,
Kind of,
about.
it would be like the midway point of like why you're there. Okay, so tell me, like, how? Because there are very noticeable styles
Right.
in the tri-state, the Philly area, and the Jersey
Right.
area. Is all that prevalent at that time as
So
well? Like the
then
fast
you know, it's weird.
backwards.
Honestly, Mark, I'll be honest with you, man. Like it's so different now as
Really?
far
Okay.
as all the styles. I'm not, and maybe I didn't pay too much attention back then, but
Okay.
I only remember a shuffle style, which there was like two. There was one that we used to call the girls shuffle, you know,
Okay.
which there wasn't really any kind of crossing over. It was just kind of like side to side stuff. And then there was a typical shuffle that you'll see most people do, which they still kind of do now. But that's all I really remember. I don't remember, you know, the whole like you see now at Skate Plex with the 1 foot
The
backwards, you know,
fast
the step
backwards. Yeah.
overs, like all. I mean, it really has gotten, you know, cool as far as all the different styles because you know when I came back I'm thinking like okay this is what I'm going to expect and you know you're doing this and that and the next thing you know you're like okay there's a lot of stuff that's been going on since you know I haven't been skating but
Yeah,
yeah I
because
would
it's a prevalent thing. Like I saw a couple videos, big production videos, like at like some southern rinks, like your famous, like the famous like Cascade and stuff like that.
okay
There was
yeah
this one event where it was just skaters from all these different major cities in the U.S. You know, so you had like, and they would like showcase, like they'd each have a chance. Not, it wasn't like a competition, but it was almost like it would be like multiple small sessions,
okay
and they would go like, and so like it would be like Chicago skaters. So of course it's like that JB thing,
right
like legit JB. But I remember I remember watching, and it's like, and it specifically said like Philly fast backwards,
yeah
and it was that thing that they're doing at Plex and in Jersey, you see a
Right.
lot. So that wasn't like happening where you were at the time, though.
Not at all. Not at
No.
all. Like backwards, when we had first of all, when we did backwards, it was just typical. You know, I feel like at the time it was like, let's see how fast we can actually get while staying without falling, kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember a whole lot of like duos. I'm sure there was, but for the most part, it's right. Like now, it's so much different. You know, you're seeing like people 3, 4, 5, 6 people skating backwards together, holding arms and doing all this
Yeah.
crazy stuff in sync. And to me, I find that to be like absolutely amazing because if you go skating, you already know how hard it is just for yourself, just to control yourself and not fall over time. And so to see 5, 6 guys, girls in line, holding arms, doing same things in synchronization. And, like I look at that, like I get nervous because I'm like,
Yeah.
me, someone skating that close behind me as you're going backwards is different than when someone's following you or trailing you, going
Hell
forward.
yeah.
So,
Hell yeah.
that's.
And for those of you guys listening or watching, like, and if you don't know, I definitely tell you, like, just go YouTube, like, search, like, Philly Fast Backwards. But I'll try and explain it. Maybe, Matt, you can help me out a little bit.
Sure.
Because it's a whole different. First off, is that just like when you're skating forward in the standard direction that we all travel,
Right.
you cross over your right foot over your left foot in
Right.
the turn. And when you're going backwards in that direction, you cross over in the direction that you're going. So the first noticeable difference right away is that they're crossing over the opposite way.
Correct. Yep.
Moving backwards.
Yep.
And the thing is that, because it seems like, and I don't know if this is just like this thing I'm hearing, but it seems like what's happening is they're not just crossing over. It's like they're with their opposite foot, they're pulling them. They're more pulling themselves to the point where they literally get a flat spot on that side of like that foot.
Right.
Like, is that like, because you can hear the because they've like,
well, you know what?
I
think what, and I could be wrong too. I kind of, as I've gone, I feel like I've gotten an idea of why. I think they do that so that you can hear them coming. So I feel like, I mean, I could be wrong, but it's almost like it's like a warning, like, hey, because when they're in those lines, you always hear them say, outside, inside, so you can move out of the way, because we know the DJ can announce 100 times, but what's going to happen? Nobody's going to listen, right?
Right.
I feel like the reason why. Not everyone, but I'm as interested, honestly, to find the correct answer to that. But, in my opinion, I feel like they do that because when they're rolling, you can hear it. So it's almost like, hey, get out of my way without me saying get out of my way kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, because the sketchiest part about this is, and I don't care what anyone says, and it doesn't mean that like I'm like against it or I'm anti fast backwards at all.
Right.
But the sketchiest thing they do, like the most challenging thing is that, so not only are they crossing over opposite way, they're looking over opposite shoulder.
Yep.
So they're looking at the far shoulder. Now, and if all you have to do is one time compare that view to this view when you're traveling in this direction, you've lost, now you're at like 20-25% vision versus 75-80 over here.
It's like your blind spot.
It's a huge blind spot, massive. And look, we've both seen the results of those blind spots.
I've paid the what do they call it, the wood tax. I've paid that quite a few times as far as bruises go. So, but that's part of it. It's like if you're not falling, you're not trying. Like we know that.
But there is and the thing that amazed me the most, right, was, and like I have a video on it where I literally like, it's like titled like Philly Fast Backwards, and like I'm narrating in it, and I'm because if you don't know what you're looking at, you can miss a lot of like the little like idiosyncrasies that are occurring. Like the first time I noticed these guys are like clicking their wheels together at a super high rate of speed. And that is like potential millimeters from disaster. You know what I mean? If anyone even knows, if you've skated for any length of time, you've probably experienced just locking your wheels together, moving forward. And how disaster. These guys are at a full clip, and they're just, and they're doing it at the same time. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, That's crazy, dude. Like it's so impressive.
I'll be honest, like even when I'm going backwards and I'll see them do it, I won't even try to attempt that because I always feel like with those thicker wheels that we use or the wider
Yeah,
wheels, I feel like they get you can get away with it when you have those thin wheels because
absolutely. It's less
even though
surface.
they're tapping, it's more like the boots are hitting, so you kind
Yeah,
of
there's
have
less
like
surface space to lock up.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We
You're
don't you don't
100%
have that
right.
with those other wheels, you know.
Oh, no.
Not at all.
And dude, like when you talked about going up on one foot, right? There is a video, and I don't think I've seen this guy at Plex because if I did, maybe I did, but because Plex is so much bigger, it's not as apparent. But I've seen like I saw a video of a couple guys at 47
Mhm.
where they moved in and out of hairier, tighter
Oh yeah.
traffic situations at the most insane rate of
Yeah.
speed with more agility than some of the best skaters you could ever see moving forward
Oh, absolutely.
with no momentum loss.
Very small windows. Very small windows.
Oh, and you're watching, and me the whole time. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
like you know what I mean, like this concerned mom, right?
yeah.
And it's like this effortless thing, man. But there's one video, guys, Philly Fast Backwards. If you ever get a chance, check it out. If you're gonna, and November 8th and 9th, come up see Matt and I, Philly Fall Skate
Absolutely.
Bash. You'll be able to
Can't
catch some of that.
can't wait for that one. Can't wait
Yep.
for that one, of course.
But you'll be able to catch some of that because that thing is crazy. I mean, it's not my steez, but I love watching. I respect it for
Look,
what it is.
I haven't been as many skating rinks, I guess, to really validate my opinion on this, but I really believe that like Philadelphia has some. I honestly believe that Philadelphia has some of the best skaters as far as not necessarily just the shuffling aspect, but all of the things you see. Like there's times where I'll go and I just kind of sit there. I'll stretch, because obviously I'm older now. I got to stretch. I'll take a couple minutes and do that. And I just like to watch. I just like to watch all of the different styles that you see. And sometimes I'll hear DJs say, "Oh, home of the best skaters in the world." And I'll kind of sit back and think about it. I'm like, he's not lying. Like,
No,
you actually
man.
sit back and watch everybody. Like there's a very wide variety. And even though some of it looks the same, it's really not the same. Everybody kind of has their own little style that they put on it. But again, I haven't really seen as wide a variety as you or maybe others have seen to really say that to justify that. But just watching these people, these guys, girls every single day, it's like I'm always impressed with what I'm seeing there.
No, I think you're right on the money because one of the things that is, I think, special about PA, okay, in regards to skating is that, especially Philly, but like even if you look at like Lehigh Valley, and then towards like Central PA, and then you have Philly, but there are not just the level of talent or ability, but
Right.
the the obviously definitive and unique style that like is so like you can't mistake it, especially
Right.
and I gotta say I really honestly Philly it has even more of that thing where it's like their badge. Like there's no like I can tell you from skating everywhere in the country that there's a few places that have these definitive styles. Chicago is one of them.
Right.
Philly's one of them. Down Atlanta is one of them. Florida is one. Philly, I'm telling you, has like it like the fast backwards thing is crazy. And the other thing is that in the Central PA, Lehigh Valley areas, there is a shuffle style that
Right.
is so rooted. Like it's even when you have these young guys, these crazy kids that are just so good, and they have this modern kind of application and spin on it.
Right.
You
Right.
can literally see the DNA of like
Yep.
organ music
Yep.
shuffling in it, man. And it's so definitive, it's so different. Down south, like they do like a trucking thing. Where
Yeah. I
it's
was just
just
gonna say that.
it's just basically stride. Now they call it shuffling. Look, everywhere you go, they call it. It's not right or wrong,
Right. Right.
But PA has like, because the trucking is literally like it's either just based on a stride that it's just a stride on beat, or it's a stride but maybe one foot's going behind the other each
Right, right.
stride, but that's it. Where in PA there is a, like, like, let's say like a three, like the Jersey Shuffle has, like, it's not just one movement
Right,
over and over. It's like three movements
right.
that sync up. So it's really, really interesting, man. So all right, so you're not skating for a while. You stopped skating what, like around 19, you said?
Yeah, I was about 19 or so.
So now how long, like, so, and you started skating a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, about I would say we're probably coming up on about 2 years ago. So I just turned 40 in March. So I would say probably yeah, we're probably about 2 years because 38 or so is when I kind of like rebuilt my skates, I guess, and kind of got back into it and started up again.
Were there times in that, like, I mean, look, it's kind of, you're basically kind of the same wheelhouse as I am as far as the time frame goes. I've been back for a couple more years, but like, uh, were there times though during that period where you had thought about it, where it came back in your mind that maybe you did visit once or twice? Was there anything like that, or was it just completely out of sight, out of mind?
It's weird because so after we went to this my son's school party for the skating event, I came back, and probably about 3 days later, I started realizing, like, man, I'm starting to look for skates. Like, it's already starting to happen. And a friend, Keith, reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, I know a guy. He's got these vanillas for sale. He only wants like $100 for them. And I thought, wow, this is great. So this guy has a pair of skates for sale that used to go to my old skating rink. The guy that is pushing me off to him to buy them was at my old skating rink. This is all now starting to make sense here. So I met up with him. I got the skates. I'd always wanted to when I was younger. I never had the money, of course, because I was relying on parents at that point. But I had always just wanted to build my own skate, no matter what
Mm.
it was, and just kind of be like, hey, we're gonna go on our little journey. And like I said, one thing led to the next. There, I got the skates. My buddy Keith helped me put them all together for me because I didn't know how to really work with boots. I forgot a lot of stuff. And he kind of just showed me the ropes as far as that goes, put my skates together. And then, the rest is really just history. It's just going and going and, being introduced to people at Skate Plex that introduced me to others, and it just kind of branched out from there. And then, I just fell in love with it. It was like the music and the skate combination for me has been really, not just for my mental health aspect, but just, when I walk through those doors of Skateplex, the only thing that matters to me at that point in time, when I hear that music, is to be able to get those skates on, because I
Mm.
always feel like that first time you get on the floor, there's something about it. Like, I almost feel like I go through, and this may sound cheesy or whatever, but I almost feel like I go through a different realm. Like, once I get on there, I'm in this little cloud, and you may see it at times, and I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. I just get so lost in the music that I don't hear anything but my wheels spinning and that music.
Mhm.
So that's probably my favorite thing of it all. Is just once I get through there, I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about you don't worry about bills, you don't worry about stress,
Mhm.
any of that stuff. It's just the music and the skates and the love of doing it. So
So, and I want to continue with that, but you made me think of something when you were talking about getting that pair of vanillas and how you always wanted to build a set, but it just financially it wasn't feasible when you're younger. Was there a particular style of skate that, like, people were using at the rink you went to when you were
yeah,
a
so
kid?
we had I want to say the Rydell RS 1000s were pretty
Okay.
popular back then.
Okay.
So I know I had a pair of them. I forget what pair my buddy Jake had. He's probably gonna kill me for this, but I know he had a pair of Rydells too. But yeah,
So
that was
it
probably
was speed skates though. Is that what most people
yeah
were?
for the most
Okay.
part. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever considered going to like a JB boot or anything like that? Have you ever thought about it?
So I never I don't think I've done it before. The only other, I would say the only, I've done some inline before. I tried like, a friend's, he had like these carbon fiber boots that were like, adjusted. I guess they make them directly. They mold them to how your foot is, and you
Yep.
just happen to be a similar size. So I've tried those, but that's a whole different, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, because it's something that, you're not used to, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a whole different kind of ball game as
Oh
far as the
yeah.
inlines go. That's a whole nother, avenue there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, man. As I continue to do this, and I get like even people that we know, like talking with them in such deep format like this, I learn so much. Like I never realized, even among the people that like we both know, that came up in skating, the way they came up in skating, there's so many of them, man, that like came
Yeah.
up through speed skating, and
Oh
they
yeah.
did like half quad, half inline, but like the shuffle or rhythm aspect came way later. But there's
Yep.
so many PA people, man, that it was just like speed skaters. So okay, so you come back around. Was there something, and you can get into this or not or whatever, but like was there something like in your world that kind of happened that like you know like I know for me there, I mean, and like and many people do, that kind of just certain life things kind of just led me back here and kind of
Right.
helped a lot of things in my world. What was there something here that you were able to find or that helped relieve something from you in life, or
Yeah, so obviously, my dad had passed about 10 years ago. And you're dealing with that whole aspect. And you're trying to make do with that. So, I'm dealing with that. And then my wife, she had lost, her dad, 2 years ago. So, there's a lot going on over, I would say, like the last 10 years or so. And I think it just came down to me realizing that I had to find something else that would take my mind off of thinking about, I guess, the negative aspects of that. So, again, sitting down and just talking to my wife and, like making sure that, hey, look, if I go and pursue this, I've been talking about it, but if I go and pursue this, I don't want to feel bad while I'm there. I don't want to feel like I'm letting you guys down by
like, yeah, you're
going and
kind of like
pursuing this,
bailing on ship or something,
Right.
leaving you guys to deal with this, and I'm over here doing that. Okay,
Right, because if
okay,
I'm there and I feel like I should be home, it's just it's not. I guess it just doesn't feel right to me.
yeah,
So again, I know I've mentioned this twice now, but
no, it's fine.
if not for my wife Rachel, I'm telling you, I may not be there.
Yeah,
Not only I may not be there, I may not be here. Period. Because at the time that I met my wife, I was going through some things at that time that, my mind was going all kinds of different ways, ups, downs, ins and outs. And, she kind of just put me, I guess, my wife, and then when I had my son, it kind of put things in perspective for me, to look forward to, things to look forward to, that it's not all negative. And then, the positive that came from that over the years is just, again, me talking about the skating and then my wife pushing me into it and just
hmm
saying, look, you're not getting any younger. You keep talking about this, but you need to go act on it. You need to go do what you want to do. So, I'm very thankful that she pushed me to get back into it, because ever since doing so, I mean, it's just been, the door's just been getting more open and more open and more open. I mean, all the people that I've met through Sk8Plex, I mean, I'm telling you, it's like a whole nother family. And
yeah,
so obviously at this point in my life, family is important, not just my own now, but I also have my skate family,
hmm
which I think is awesome, because, going back to my roots, I always remember the age difference. At the time, I may have been between 12 and 14, but I was talking to people that were 18 to 20.
right,
And so from the outside, that may look like, wow, like what, that's not your
yeah,
age group, but they didn't care. Nobody cared, because we were all there for the same exact thing.
yep,
And, I also realized that, I'm not the only one that was going through things at that time. With talking to people at the skating rink, I realized, wow, I come here to relieve some of this stress, and that's the same thing now too. But at that time, it's like I come here to relieve some stress, and that's exactly what they're doing. And I created so many relationships just through that alone. That the very first thing that I remember coming back, obviously now older, I remember sitting there and just thinking, wow, you know what? I might be older, but everything is exactly the same as far as the relationships, how tight
Yeah.
everybody is, the groups, you know what I mean, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So that was one, I would probably say the first thing for me that was a pull in, like, hey, man, like this is going to be a safe spot for you. Like everything's going to be all right. Just kind of focus on what's important to you. And then meeting all the people and being introduced to everybody. It's just been, like I said, it's just taken off like every single week.
Because your wife doesn't skate, right?
Yeah, so she does. She knows how to skate. She's not as into it as I am. I definitely tried to push the nod there by buying her a pair of skates. But you'll see, she'll go to every, like if we have it, for the big event coming up in November, she'll probably make it there for one night. But for the most part, she's definitely not nearly as into it as I am. But I do love the fact that she will play the part of hyping me up. She's like my hype man, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
Because and forgive me if I'm wrong, but like, look, I mean, you're a quiet dude, right?
Yep.
Like, it's not like you're not like me, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I
Like
got
a
you.
little over the top,
Yeah.
whatever. But humble, quiet, reserved, play your role, and that none of that's negative. I'm not saying any of
Oh,
that's
yeah,
in a
absolutely.
negative way. But I tend to think that like there's some similarities between someone like you and me, and one is especially because you seem like kind of someone that you could sit and maybe think a little too much. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And get
absolutely.
locked up in
Absolutely.
here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and especially for someone like us to have somebody in our world that will say, no, dude, it's okay. Like, you can do this. I'm
Right.
not like, because we need to hear that,
Right.
because we're just gonna sit in here and be like, yeah, but then I'm not here, and then what are you thinking? And am I leaving
Right.
you? Am I abandoning you? Am I doing all that?
Right.
And for someone to kind of care enough, for someone like you and me, right, that is gonna always question that stuff and get all locked up in here, and we'll come up with whole scenarios about how I'm the biggest piece of crap because I'm doing
Right.
this and that. I
Right.
can't do that. I could never ask that. I could never,
Right.
you know. But when we have people in our world that like, it's almost like we kind of have to take a double take and be like, oh wow, like you mean that, don't you?
Right.
Like, this
Right.
is like, you're really giving me the okay to do this. It's an amazing feeling, man, to kind of get relief like of that internal pressure cooker that we put on ourselves,
Right.
where so much of it isn't even real, but we think it is, right? It's real to us. So I think that's awesome, man. I think it's awesome that she, and I think she probably knows that about you from what you said.
Right.
She had to kind of even say it more than once,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, no, go
And
do this.
the other thing too, like if you notice about me, a lot of times I wear things like my friends will tell you, you can see how I'm feeling by just looking at the sleeve on my shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the stuff that I wear to the skating rink, and you could probably see behind me, there's a hat that says hope. There's a hat that says real. I have sweatshirts that say, if you're not having a good day today, just know that I'm here for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really try to, you know, not just be there and skate, but I try to give off positive energy while doing it. Even
And you
though,
do.
like
You
I
do.
said, I don't talk a whole lot. I'm not very flamboyant as far as like screaming or yelling or anything crazy like that. But I
Yeah.
just try to be very, to myself, but let, people see, what's important to me. And just to know that, if there's something going on, that I'm always going to be available no matter what.
Well, yeah, and I can 100% attest to, because we hadn't even really had a conversation at the time, I don't think. And I had fractured my ankle
Oh
back
yeah,
in
I
the
remember.
winter. And, I was bummed out about it, and, like, you probably can understand, you stuck at home, can't really move. And then this
Right.
thing just starts
Right. The
going.
worst part. Yeah.
And but I specifically remember getting a message from you, man, like just and basically, like, dude, I'm sorry that happened. Keep your chin up, man. Like just so positive and like and I remember distinctly thinking like, yeah, I've seen this guy, right? But like he didn't have to do that for me,
Right.
man. You know what I
Right.
mean? And he did it privately. He didn't. You weren't looking for any type of recognition, but
No.
it was so real to me. I think I, I think I did. I was like kind of like overly like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, cause it meant a lot. And it's those things that do mean a lot. Right.
Absolutely.
And it probably, to me, honestly, it was kind of like the, probably one of the first, probably the real first step into me even kind of getting to know you,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, but just those little things, like when you had reached out or mentioned, like we were talking for some other reason. And then it was like, hey, my birthday, come here, come. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, really? Like me? Like,
Yeah.
But dude, it's so funny because it was like a couple months ago, you know. Oh, then he told me about the shirt and everything you got and everything,
Yeah.
but you've always been like this solid, positive force that and you don't broadcast it. You're not looking for adulation or anything like that.
Absolutely not.
But it's 100% consistent. It's real, and I remember like what was it? It was a couple months ago because we had that chat and it was like, dude, when is someone gonna invite Matt in here? Matt, we need
Oh yeah.
Matt in here. Like we
Yeah.
need Matt because that like he's gonna bring something here that we just need it. We just need more of that. Whatever that thing is, we need it. And sure enough, like so like because you're always so kind of you always put it out there. You're always saying thank you to everybody.
Oh
You're
yeah.
always thanking
I'm a very
everyone for.
appreciative person. If you do something for me, it doesn't matter what it is. I say this to everybody. I have in storage right now, I have a box of stuff that people have given me over years. And I mean, we're talking items that could be the size of a quarter up to items that could be, a huge box. And the reason why it's so important to me is because time to me, as I get older, I realize that there's not a lot of time left, okay, as you get older. And it's very important. So for someone to come to take out of their day, which is
Mm,
24 hours long and very busy, because, as we're older, you got work, you got kids, you got all kinds of stuff going on. If someone's taking a second or two to think about you, and throughout their day to get you something no matter what it is, that's very important to me. So I just try to, I guess, I've been there before. I've been in a lot of different situations. I'm not going to say I've been through it all, but I've been through enough situations that I feel like I can relate to a lot of people. And it doesn't take a lot of time to just kind of send a direct message to somebody, because whether you know them for, 5 minutes or 5 years, it doesn't necessarily, it's just the encouragement, to be like, hey, I know that you love doing this. Like, I know when you had did that and you had the incident with your ankle, I could see just from your videos watching previously, that how much you enjoyed skating. So all I did was I put myself in that position and said, hey, if that was me, and, obviously I'm at the pinnacle now here where I'm like, if I miss a day, I'm like upset,
yeah,
so, I get it, because I've gone through some health stuff this year more than ever before. And whenever I can't go, I'm watching Louis' live stream, because that's the closest I can get to seeing what everybody's doing.
yeah,
And, my wife said it too. She's like, you watching the live? And I'm like, because I'm there. I'm still
yeah,
there, even though I'm not there. It's still feeding that little bit to where, you know, it doesn't feel like I'm totally not there kind of thing.
yep,
So, again, just to reach out to somebody, if you see somebody going through something or, anything like that, I mean, it's free, like, and again, like you said, I don't expect anything out of it. It makes me feel good. That's what I'm trying to get out of it. When it's done and over with and you put the phone down and you're like, you know what, I hope that that message had a positive impact, so that that person, because clearly I know what you were thinking. You know, all you want to do, anybody that skates, is just lace them up and get back out there, because that's what takes away most of that pain, right? Or whatever you're going through. So to not be able to do the thing that helps you take care of all that, and then being stuck in a chair or limping or whatever it might be, crutches, etc., you know, it's just more time to really think about, you know, what's going on. But I got to give it to you, though, because even though you did, I feel like you went through that pretty quickly. Now, I know that for you, it probably was a larger window, but I feel like almost like, you know, with the snaps of my fingers, you were right back at it. And it didn't look like you lost much. So, you know, it wasn't like it was one of those things where, you know, you had to take a, you know, at least in my eyes, it didn't
I get
feel
it.
like that.
Yeah, no. It felt like it, but I know, and I do know in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't, right?
Right,
But like
right.
in our perception, and I think the coolest thing about it though, Matt, like is like, you know, it's because I can get messed up with like just the like stupid like kind of self talk, like just
Yeah.
saying dumb shit to myself, you know,
Yep.
and like there's something like when you can't come around, right? Or whatever, and you're taken out of this thing for however brief, like where somebody reaches out and it's like it's not just when you're here that we're thinking about you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's a huge thing to someone like me, and I know a lot of people, man.
Right.
Like, hey man, you're missed. You know what I mean? Like you know, because it's easy for me to tell myself like, oh yeah, like we can just have fun like when we're there together, but you know, like at the end of the day, if I disappear, does it matter? Kind of thing.
Right.
And you know, and I try and remain humble to the degree that's healthy and be like, well, no, it doesn't. But at the same time, you do want to kind of matter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and that, so that stuff meant the world to me, man. It really, really did. Like it, I remember it was probably, no, it was literally the best thing I got because I never, I never expected it from you. Like
Okay.
not because of like, I don't,
No, I got you.
I just, we didn't have a ton of conversation, man. And it was like, and I was like, dude, like that is so cool. I think I was like, dude, that is like so cool that you're
Yeah.
like, I was like trying to process it in my brain. But anyway, man, you know, because you're always so like, thank you guys for everything you do and everything. And my whole thing was like, dude, we gotta get this guy involved in this, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he clearly has something to offer. He clearly, you know, so dude, when I was so stoked when I first saw your name in there, you know, I you know, I would love I would love to see what you bring to the table, you know, with these events and stuff like that. You
Right.
know, like what is there something that you have kind of ever thought about like that you wanted to do or that you wanted to kind of
I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I know I could say I'm that kind of person, I guess, where you say thank you all the time to the point where you're like, listen, just stop, dude. Like you're validated, like it, but it's that's the thing, you know. Like I remember walking in to Skate Plex the one day, and Ray and Emmett were sitting down, and you know, I just had come up to shake hands and say hi, and you know, when Ray had asked me to be in there, you know, to say, hey, look, you know, you want to come into this group chat, you know, kind of, you know, just be a part of the whole thing. You know, I was kind of taken back because you know, me personally, I'm not somebody that really just necessarily likes to be handed something. I kind of, and I said this in the group chat
yep.
too, as far as the shirt's concerned, I said I want to earn it, because whatever values that you guys as a group place on that group and how you guys feel about each other and that shirt, or how you guys got it, I want to feel like when the time comes that that shirt is handed to me, that it's been validated because of things that I've done, whether it be for you guys, whether it be helping out, whether it be no matter what it is, you know, conversations, etc. You know, I just wanted to feel, you know, validated for that. So, you know, it definitely, I do remember walking over and sitting down and being a little emotional, you know, because I to be a part of something, or to be asked to be a part of something, you know, like that, when I had just got into it and not realizing, like, that was the moment I think I realized, like, wow, I think, the angle that I'm choosing here over the past couple years is starting to rub off on people. And, so like I said, that's another blessing for me because now I have, more people in my circle, good people at that. And, you're part of that too, because to be honest with you, the videos that you make that I'm in at all, they may not know me if you have never made those videos. I told Ray this a couple weeks ago in the group chat that I had my 40th birthday party at Skate Plex, and I was so busy doing so much stuff. And Ray took out of his time, and this goes back again. There's 24 hours in a day. Okay, there's 3 hours at a skating rink, and we all know that we like to go there and do the things we like to do. So for Ray to take the time that he took out to record my entire birthday party, everything, pictures, video, made it all for him. I mean, to me, I don't think anybody can realize how much appreciation that goes. And that's why I am that way in that group chat with you guys, because I appreciate not only the relationship you guys have, not how much you guys actually do for the skaters without trying to get validation for yourself. Like, I can see the genuine side of how much you guys just care about the skating culture and highlighting the good things throughout that. And I'm just really happy to be a part of that. Now that that I'm in there, I can kind of see what's going on and be a part of these little events. I just like everything about it. I like the build up to it. I like promoting it, helping promote it. I like the videos that are made. And then when the events are there, like, and now with you doing these, the podcast, I'm actually meeting a lot of these main skaters and getting to know them a little bit before when these big events come. Because, and I think you did a funny episode on this about when you could say hi to them on the internet. And once you get there, you're like, well, we're going to lock up a little bit here and get nervous,
Yeah,
So I think what that does is you've made it a little bit easier now with these videos to kind of get an idea of what these people are going through or what their story is, so that now when I see them, I'm not going to feel like that I'm kind of intruding. I know that they probably wouldn't think that, naturally you're like, I don't want to push anything on them. Whenever that kind of thing happens, it happens. But now I feel like with these podcasts, you kind of made it easier to get introduced to them. And then, kind of like when the events come now, it's like fair game. It's like, all right, everybody knows everybody now, so.
Yeah. My real hope is that one, it makes, I mean, I don't know if there was like a definitive goal other than like when I started it, it was just, I mean, I like starting everything is just like, okay, well, what's something else I can do? What's something else I can do? What's something else I can do? And I wish that I could be like, I wish I could say like, oh yeah, this was the goal and this was and it wasn't. I mean, I can't really say that. But as a result, that I noticed in like almost immediately, and that I was like, okay, I want to actively pursue this was, as positive and as amazing as the skate world can be, there can be these negativity and challenges and everything. And I think that like there like everything has two sides, right? So like social media, as far as skating goes, is like this amazing tool, right?
Right.
Like that can help us keep it relevant longer, right? Because it normally has these cyclical things, like these cycles where it kind of goes in and out of fashion or style or whatever. And I really, really believe that social media can kind of help widen those times where it's kind of big and make those times longer.
Right.
Some of the downsides of it are, especially because as a culture, we've become so accustomed to like all you have to do is like see a 30-second clip of somebody saying one thing, and people can define someone's entire identity
Oh
by
yeah.
like this one thing.
Yep.
Right. And be like, oh, I've got you boxed in. I know exactly who you are. I know who you vote for. Therefore, I know what you think and how you feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this craziness. Right. And so my whole thing is like, because that's probably just as easy to do with social media figures and
Right.
with skaters and all that kind of stuff. And my whole thing was like, man, I and for myself too. Like I would look and I think I know somebody, Like, I think, you know, I mean, you just can't help it. It's just this thing that kind of happens. I try not to, but it does. And I realized, like, oh no, like we can like know each other.
Right.
Like, you know, not that everyone's going to get on here and read their mail,
Right.
but,
Right.
you know, like, but I truly believe that empathy is way more accessible the more that we can kind of know and relate, you know, and all of a sudden, like, what's unbelievable, and this might be the selfish aspect to it though, is that literally every single person that I've sat and talked with during this thing, when I'm done, we like me and that person are so much closer.
Oh yeah.
Like crazy, right?
Yeah.
So if nothing else, it is absolutely enhancing my world, you know?
Right. And I think too, because, you know, obviously, like, you know, I generally don't, and it's just because of my schedule and stuff like that. Like, I generally don't um, make it too far out of PA as far as the events. I try to stay within like 2 hours or so,
Right.
unfortunately, just because of my schedule and stuff like that. But, you know, I feel like, you know, you've seen, you know, a wide variety, and you've been to a lot of rinks and seen a lot of people that, you know, it makes 100% sense. And, you know, not only just for you, but you know, it's like what you're doing for everyone else at the same time, you know? So, I think it's really cool for me to even just be on here telling how this whole story happened, because, you know, I've told the story before, maybe not this way, but not to this extent where the interest level is understanding. Because again, when you talk to someone who's a skater and they love it for what it is, they understand that it's not something that necessarily has to be said. But once that conversation locks in, it can go on for either a half hour or it can go on for 4 hours, depending on what, you know, what you're talking about and where you're talking about. So, you know, I think it's a great idea what you're doing. Like I said, it's only going to be great for the skate community. I don't know, when I say skating's back, I only say that from my perspective, because from what I remember, there was such a large window of no skating, and like, where's this gone? I would hear like this skating rink closed or this one's going to close, and I'm like, well, I hope there's a couple around me that are not going to close. Fortunately, I do have two that are within a half hour, so I am lucky on that aspect. But you know, I think it's great for the skating culture. I think it's great, again, for when there's big events. It takes that kind of nervous, like, intruding feeling that you may feel, or some people may feel. There's others that they don't care. Hey, how you doing? I remember you from this. Let's do it. You know, I generally got to work my way. I kind of try to find the right timing and be like, hey, you know, I seen you on there. I just wanted to say I like what you do, kind of thing, and then I'm out of here. You know, I just want to introduce myself and then let you do your thing. You know, I'm not here to take up your time. I just wanted to introduce myself, and so be it. So,
well, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer for me to have you on because, you know, like I said, like, you know, and I remember you coming into the chat and being like, you know, I want to earn this, and you know, and I know that I was like, I mean, I think I made some wise ass remarks.
yeah,
Like I'm always, you know, I can always be relied on, right? But I definitely said, like, you've more than earned this, dude. Like, it's not even a question, right? And I know that you don't seek any type of validation or adulation or credit for any of this stuff, right? But I think that, like, there are people like you where it can be overlooked because you are okay to sit in the background and not, you don't need all that. And for me, it was like, dude, like, no, like, there are people, like, I don't want to talk to, like, I want to talk to who I want to talk to, right? I want to talk to, like, if you saw, like, when I first started doing this thing, my only requirement, my number one requirement was, are you as passionate about this as I am?
right,
And like, you more than meet that, and that is no different than, like, dude, trust me, I thought the same thing, like with the shirt thing, and get, you know, because when I came out there, like, I had like one conversation with Ed, and he was like, well, hey, do you want a shirt? And I was like, you
you're
know,
like, that's it.
yeah, well, in my mind too, like, in my mind, I'm still, it's way different now. I get it now. Like, I see it differently now. But in my mind, I was so new back to this culture
Right.
that what that meant to me was kind of like, it was almost like being in, like you couldn't just go get a rock steady cruise like jacket. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to, like, show and prove, right? Like,
yeah,
so
right.
so like I thought it was like a team, right? Like a this talent based thing, and I'm like, I'm like, isn't there like a thing I got to do? Do I have to like pull a certain number of tricks off in a row
Yeah,
without
right,
falling? Or,
right. Yeah.
right?
That's what you're
And their
thinking.
whole thing was like, dude, do you love doing this? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, there you go. And I was like, oh, it's like that,
Yeah.
So look, yeah, I mean, dude, you're more than qualified for it. It's not even a question, man.
No, I
I like,
appreciate it. I really, and again, I know I say this all the time, how appreciative I am, but I don't think there's, other than just saying it, I don't think there's another thing I could do to really prove, other than what I know, what I do every day. I just, I have my same things when I go to the skating rink. Somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, I seen you skating, doing this, that, and the third. Can you help me out right away?" You know, as far as the etiquette's concerned with the rink, that's another thing that I kind of, you just pick
mm,
up, like when someone
mm.
falls. I don't need the ref to come over. I'll kind of, hey, get in front of the person, veer everybody, make sure they know no one falls. All that stuff is, when I go back to think about it, is just, I enjoy it.
And it
I enjoy
matters.
every part of it.
It matters, and it matters, and it makes a difference. It matters, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference to the person that, you know, like, because I like, it makes a difference to the person, like, hey man, like, thanks for making sure I didn't get creamed here.
Right,
I'm
right,
trying to get
right.
back up. Like,
Yeah.
it matters to people, man. Is there something that you ever thought of, like, and look, no pressure or anything like that. If you hadn't, it's no big deal. I'm just wondering, because I know that you kind of you stay in this frame of mind of gratitude to people and the culture and everything, and it's very apparent, and you're very, you let it, on a one-to-one basis, you make it
Mhm.
you make it known. Has there ever been, like, have you ever had ideas of something that you wanted to do, like a project or a thing or something, like an idea?
I'll be like, as far as the skating thing goes, it really just is, kind of just promoting everybody. Like, I just enjoy, I don't really ever want anything out of it other than someone to just take notice of how much I really love it.
Okay.
Like when someone like takes notice of how, like, wow, this guy really enjoys being here. But I try to promote everything and everyone that
Mm.
is part of that, like whether it's, you or Ray or the events or the DJs, because that's all a big part of it. Without a DJ for me to skate on the floor, with good music, right? So I need that. I know they'll say they need me or they need us to skate to do it too. But I feel like I'm just so appreciative of all that stuff that I just try to. What I want out of it is to just let everyone know that, look, I see what you're doing. You're making this great for me. So the least that I can do is to help support that brand,
Mm.
and say, hey, look, these are good people, so that's really all I try to get out of it, to be honest. Other than that, it's just the, meeting people, meeting new skaters with new styles, learning new things, as I go, and the whole process along the way. I feel like I'm going to try to do this until my legs don't work anymore. Like, that's where I'm at with it now. I'm so deep into it that, at this point, I don't see no other option other than just me skating until, like they say, until the wheels fall off.
Yeah,
I'm going to
man.
be here. So
Did you I think, did you ever get to go to the roller jam before it?
I did. That was, so the cool thing about Roller Jam was it was my first and my last time there.
Ah.
I was trying to go there because that is within that window, my 2
Was
hour
I there?
travel.
Was I there the night you were there?
You were there.
Oh,
You
that's
were
right.
there
Cause
that night.
I
Yes, you
okay, I
were.
remember now.
Yep.
Yeah. All
And
right.
the thing about the cool thing about Roller Jam is that was the smallest floor that I've ever skated on in my life, right?
Hell yeah.
And so it's very intimidating at first. And so when I go on there, I try to do my normal routine. Like, on Skate Plex, you have that, like, you do your little, on each, I guess straightaway, you have your thing you do, and then you do your little whatever it is on the turns. Well, there you don't have enough space to do all that. So real quickly, it went from me being overwhelmed to realizing, like, wow, it's going to get packed. People are going to move you out of the way, and it's cool. You move people out of the way, they're cool with it. Like that was
Yeah.
the first time that I ever had someone physically move me out of the way, and I was like, wasn't like, hey man, what are you doing? I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I totally get it. It's
Yeah.
packed. You're putting me in the right spot. Like,
Yeah.
like it was an amazing. That was probably, I would say, my favorite experience as far as like new skating rink, like everything that went on there. The music was phenomenal. The people, like I always say, hey, look, you may see me and I look like I'm in that cloud. I could probably find 100 people that were on that floor that were just, they weren't even seeing anybody else. It was like, hey, find my space, do my jamming, and, everybody get out the way. We're going to have a
Yeah.
great time tonight. So,
Well, and that's why, like, I like roller jam will quickly kind of like put everything else into perspective in so many ways when it comes to, a rink experience. And one of them being what you just mentioned about being in this high traffic, you know, claustrophobic, small, tight space with all these other people, and I go to these huge, huge rinks, and I can see people like getting mad for
oh, yeah.
someone being in the way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like there's nothing you could possibly say that could justify it to me. Well, how do I know that? Well, because I've been in Staten Island where there's a bar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it's a place that's a quarter of this size. There's more people in there than there are here tonight,
Right.
and people are brushing and touching and moving and physically like adjusting other people at all
Absolutely.
times with a complete and absolute unspoken understanding of I'm doing this for you as much as I am for me.
Right.
Let's go. You know what I
And
mean?
I feel like that a good slogan for that place would be, if you can skate here, you can
You can
skate
skate
anywhere.
anywhere.
Because when you like my first time back from roller jam at skate, I think I went to roller jam. That was a Saturday night, and then I ended up going for DJ Vez at Skate Plex on Sunday night. And I remember skating, thinking, man, I can do anything tonight. Like I felt like I could do whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
That there was, if I got within an inch of someone, no problem.
yeah.
This floor is so big, I can do whatever I want. But
It is
yeah,
baptism by fire in a big way.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
definitely opened my eyes up as far as like, hey, look, man, there's a vibe, but then there's also a vibe. Like that was Roller Jam was a vibe, man. That was like a whole like everyone just getting lost, like I don't even know how else to explain that, to be
yeah.
honest
Well,
with
yeah.
you.
No, it's funny because I just had did a recording with Matt Hatter at
Mad
Whitehall.
Hatter, let's go.
And yeah, shout out Matt Hatter, shout out Sean, and of course, we talked about roller jam a lot, and the thing about it was that we said, and everyone says, just like you just did, was there's no way you could properly describe it to somebody that didn't experience it,
Right.
and now there definitely was a thing where people loved it or they didn't
Oh
love it
yeah,
at
yeah.
all, but I will say though that it's crazy because I have gone there with people that like from the South, right?
Right.
That they're very much they have like, and not that they can only do one thing or anything like that, but like they're very speed based skaters and they like to fly and long shuffle lines, just cruising, right? But no matter like I've skated there with people that have skated in every possible scenario, like
Right.
throughout their life, have been accustomed to every style, or they've been accustomed to a certain style for the majority of their life. But like everybody that I've skated there with absolutely loved it. And
Oh
the
yeah.
thing is that it wouldn't it's kind of like the one place where I feel like it's the one place where most people coming from all these different places and kind of environments,
Yeah.
you'll find that most people that agree, like, oh my God, this was
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
and for me, I mean, I grew up on a tiny floor. Like I grew up
Uh-huh.
on a small floor. Nothing like the vibe was not roller jam. Because that's the other thing is I was saying to Sean, you could take, let's say we took the skate, like say you take the very best skaters that from the day that it opened to the day that it closed, like the regulars, right? The roller jam regulars, and you took like the all stars of those those people. You took the very best DJ set ever played there, and you took both of those things and you dropped it into another rink, it still wouldn't be.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
what I think the whole thing is. It's like because of the size of the rink, right? And then the sound system was amazing on top of that. And then I think it's cool that like honestly, I didn't even know that the DJ was up there till after about 4 or 5 songs. I'm looking around, I'm like, where are they playing this from? Because I just there was so much going on that I didn't even think to look up that area. And then I think Sean's the one that actually told me that. He's like, well, they're up there, and I'm like, holy crap, they really are. Like that's where they're all doing it from. So I thought that's part of it too. You know, the big ball they had there, the sound system, the small floor, a lot of people, the bar. I don't think that was the first time I've ever went to a skating rink that had a bar in it. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. You know, like not so much early on, but let's see what happens around like 12:30, 1 o'clock where we're at. You know,
yeah. And it's never bad. It was never bad. That's the thing. Because I thought the same thing. I'd never seen that, and I literally said to Ray, I was like, the first time I went, I was like, because I'd never seen it, and I was like, so this could be either awesome or horrible,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I never saw it horrible, you know. But most of the time, like people sweat it out anyway.
Oh yeah,
dripping, you know.
Yep.
But like the thing that was amazing about it though was, and Joe, the guy that owned the place, the last night gave this super impassioned speech, and I think that I try and, for anyone that didn't get to experience Roller Jam at least once, anytime I ask them, I'm like, did you ever get to Roller Jam? And like, no, my response is always the same. It's like, oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, right.
You know? But the thing that I think that if I could ever like want to, because you can't explain, like you said, it's like an acid trip. You could never properly describe it to somebody who didn't experience it, but like Joe's message when he, you know, kind of at the night that it closed, and he gave this very emotional impassioned like speech or address to everybody, you know, very grateful and thankful. But he talked about like what he wanted to do when it first opened up, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, we're going to do it like this. We're going to play this kind of music. We're going to do it like, and he was very open about like, and he was telling DJs, I want to do, like, he was trying to bring in DJs and being like, I want to make this happen. And DJs telling him, that's not going to work, dude. That's not going to work. People aren't going to be down for that at all. It's not going to happen. Right. And he was like, no, that, like, we're going to, and like, just with his own passion, you know what I mean? His own drive. But, like, he had a vision. And he had this thing where he said, okay, yeah, there's a bunch of ways to do this, you know? And I think that that's like anything that's really going to make a mark. It's never a thing that like is just an attempt to duplicate something else super successful. Right. It's something that like either is entirely new or it's something that you take and you make your own. You put your own stamp on it. You know what I mean? And he did that, man, because that place was like nothing else. It played music like no other place. Right. It was like the jazz, hip hop, funk, house infused, just grimy, East Coast, big drum, James Brown, Clyde Stubblefield, funk beats, dude. Like it was just, and if you skated New York and up. Because everyone from like down south that I know, they're all like Northeast, and they say Philly and Jersey, and you know, and I'm like, no. New York and up is another thing because it's way individualistic. Right. The styles, you know what I mean? It's so individualized. Like, and that's kind of like that area of if you, and nothing like was like Roller Jam. I'm not saying that, but like if you kind of like that whole thing where you just see a bunch of people doing their own thing with like that head nod like, you know what I mean, not just like that, not that crazy freestyle fast like I got just, you know, like that right like that is such a Northeast thing, dude. It's the reason why I tell people like, yo, like if you skate New York, Massachusetts, even Maine, for God's sake, people do it with a chip on their shoulder, dude. Yeah. Like, like, in the best way. In the best way. Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah. Get him on camera. Get him on camera. Get him on camera.
Come here, Rocky. Come. Come here, come say hi. No,
Is it because I was yelling?
Nah, yeah. Now he's mad. I'm just gonna let him out. Come on, dude. Go run crazy. I told you he was gonna make an appearance.
Was that because I was yelling?
Yeah. I think you just seen another dog come out. That's usually the case there.
That was awesome, man. I was
Sorry about that.
Nah, that's all good, dude.
But so yeah, I mean, the one thing I think I felt bad about as far as Roller Jam, because I wasn't a regular there, but I could see obviously as the night was winding down. I don't really remember exactly why they had to move on, but I was under the impression that it was just the decision of the property owner, I guess.
Yeah,
And
so they basically wanted that someone came in and said, "Hey, we'll give you way more money to have a pickleball court here." And so the property owner was like, "Okay." So, on paper, he made it look like he was, giving first right of refusal, but he was basically going to increase his rent by like just exorbitant.
Yeah.
Like he was just insane. There's no
Right.
way he could do it.
It's like trying to force him out without saying you got to go, kind of thing.
100%, without a question. But anyway,
That's why I feel like that's why, like, what I got from it too is because I'm thinking about, like, man, like, what about the community? What about all of the people that, it made me think about my situation. Like, man, like I remember when stuff used to hit the fan, like my escape was the skating rink. And so if someone was to take that away from me at that time, I didn't even know about Palace at the time. Obviously now Skate Plex, but at the time I didn't know about that because I was real little. Like I only knew of Cornwall. So if someone would have taken that away at the pinnacle of where we were at, I mean, I would have been devastated, And so to kind of see everyone there, and I know there was people that came from like other areas, but to see the people that like were always there and what they were going through as the night was going on, I could feel a lot of the emotion, and it made me feel bad because again, like I was just thinking like, man, like these doors are going to close, the garage closed, whatever it might be. And, all these people that are used to, no matter what night, whether there's a big event, little event, no event, would come here and, get their vibe on, do their thing. And now it's like, I know that there's other skating rinks, but it's not the same.
No,
it's not the same. So.
You're 100% right too, because like I think tomorrow or the next day, coming up here real soon, I'm sitting down with Jackie Cosmano.
I seen that.
Yeah. Rob Cosmano's daughter. Rob Cosmano is the guy who started Eight Wheels No Brakes, but they were so involved in Roller Jam. Like, I mean, they were hand in hand with Joe and I know it's gonna be like, you make sure you check that out because she'll be able to really communicate what that.
Oh, I'll definitely be watching that.
Yeah, the significance to what that meant to the people, that it wasn't just their cool place to like go out of town to. It was their home. Right. You know what I mean? And even people like Sean, dude. Like for Sean, for Matt Hatter, and we just talked about this. For a skate DJ, especially like around like the East Coast and Northeast and stuff like that, that's like the pinnacle to do.
Right.
And he had just gotten like some regular gigs there, and then bang, it closed on.
Yep.
And I felt so bad because, dude, the conversation we would have, right? I mean, we'd be on our way to Roller Jam, and Sean had like got like one night he happened to be there, and Tito had said to him, like, "Hey, do you want to hop in the booth?" Like, and he's like, "You got your stuff?" He's like, "Yeah." And so he brings him up in the booth, and he's like, "All right, see ya." And he left him there for like 30, 40 minutes. But other than that, he hadn't like been booked like a full set. So then he gets booked a little while later, and we're out. I think it was the first full gig that he was having there, but we're on our way out. And I remember saying to Ray on the way out, like, dude, I'm so happy for Sean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy for him. Like, I knew what it meant to him, dude. And then on the flip, headed out to Roller Jam. Like, we tried to make a couple of the last few. And the conversation then switched to, dude, I feel so bad for Sean.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks, dude. Like,
right.
Because his vibe was, he fit right in with that thing. And what I'm grateful for, though, is that even though it'll never be the same, and Sean will be the first one to tell you, like, I for someone like me that really enjoyed that music and that type of thing, knowing that he is still a DJ in this area, you know, for rinks, that like I can still go get a little piece of that.
Yeah, and he
Is
says that, he talks about that too. I know.
hell yeah.
He'll say, like, with Tito and stuff, like that was his, like, his guy. So, and that's cool. Like I generally, I know, like, all the DJs have their own little style, and while I have like certain preferences, at the end of the day, there isn't much music that I can't really skate to, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate that Sean is trying to take that style and kind of bring it to Skate Plex, for example, when he's there, because it's different, it's refreshing too, because if I feel like a lot of people are used to like the freestyle, right? Like that's just, I mean, if there's one category of music that fits skating to a T, it's always going to be freestyle to fall back on. Whenever I see like DJs say, hey, or Sean be like, hey, what's some new music to play? It's always hard for me, because I'm like, you know what? Just play what I want you to play, whatever you pick, because that's what's getting me going. And I can't tell you how many times, including when Sean's on there DJing, is I'll pull my phone out and try to Shazam whatever I can so that I can add it to my playlist and listen in because that's all I do. Like when I'm not at the rink, I have on my skating playlist, so I'm still there, or maybe I'm going through little like routines in my head that I want to try that, and like my wife's always telling me too, she's like, what are you doing? You're not saying anything. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about, she's like, oh, skating, so 24/7.
Do you do that? Do you do that? Like where I'll hear a song and I'll be like, maybe it's a song I hadn't heard in a long time, or that I never did skate to, or I never considered skating to, but I hear a song and I immediately am like, oh, I know exactly how I'd skate to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I would say for me, it's probably, is it Double Dutch Bus? That's the one song that I don't care what state I'm in, what rink I'm in, what night it is. Like when that song comes on, that is, to me, that reminds me of like skating, like the whole
of course,
thing, like shuffling, no matter what. No matter what style it is, like that's the time for me,
Everybody was with you until you said that. Everyone was with you. Everyone was Team Matt till he said "Don't Dutch Bus." God, I'm so over that song. So
yeah, I know it definitely is an old, like an obvious like.
No, man. Some of my best friends, like some of the people I love the most skating, still love it. Some of them just are like completely over it. Yeah. I don't even care. Like if I'm ever somewhere and like somebody like that I know is like all about that song, I don't care if like if it's 10 of us and only one person and 9 of them hate it, I'm gonna request it. You know what I mean? Like I don't care, man. It's dude. Well. You got, and I like to like mix it up too, like, because like you said, like just from the music style, the vibe style, man. Like I try and like go you'll see me, like I go on these little tangents, where it's like I'll go like to Philly for like a few months, like just intense, and then you won't see me, and then I'll be over here, like
yeah,
and then I'll be over here,
Well, I know because I try to time it when I got that shirt right there. I was trying to time it. Like I'm like, all right, I got to wear this shirt, but I got to do it on a day that he's here. So I'm wearing it on the night that he's here. So if you remember, I'd like message him, be like, all right, yo, are you gonna be at Sk8LikeYou tonight? Because I want to wear this shirt,
Well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Oh man. All right. Well, hey, we're like approaching like an hour 22 here. Is there anything that you wanted to throw out there? Anything you wanted to say? Anything that you missed? Anything that you wanted to?
Not necessarily. What I would say, one thing I would like to say is like, if you're watching this and you're somebody that is maybe in the beginning side of the skating and, you're unsure of if you want to continue or not, listen to me and continue.
Yeah.
I treat skating like life. You're going to skate around and you're going to fall just like in life. There's going to be times where you fall, maybe not physically, but you take a step back. And at that time, you have to ask yourself, am I going to get up and continue? Or am I just going to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm walking away.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, I would say to all the skaters out there, including the young ones, like I enjoy watching, I think his name is Chase Skates. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One of my favorite young skaters, and I, you know, because it reminds me of when I was younger, and to see how, because we didn't have any of this recording or any of this stuff when
Right,
I
right.
was younger. So I would just say to all, you know, if there's any young skaters watching this, or to all the ones that just started, just keep pushing through. You know, keep fighting, keep skating, because in due time you're going to hit that point, and all of us do. You hit that point where you're like, I got it. You know, like
Yeah,
this is going to be awesome. So,
yeah.
other than that, just, you know, thanks for having me on. Thanks for, you know, all the times that you've recorded or posted or promoted. Thanks for all you do for the skate community, because I feel like you do a lot. You know, and yeah, that's pretty much it, you know.
All right. Well, thank you, man. I'm so glad you did this. I think this was awesome, man. I had a great
Absolutely,
time.
man.
I,
Anytime.
I think
Anytime.
this is fantastic.
I had
And
a great time.
before I forget, so shout out Chase Skates. We see you, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, this was great, man. Yeah, I don't have anything else either, man. But I definitely want to. So hey, guys, like we said before, if you didn't catch this part, November 8th, 9th, Philly Skate Plex, Philly Fall Skate Bash.
Yep.
Come
And
check out Matt.
there
Come
was
see.
there's an
That's
older event right there.
that's lat. Yup.
That's one of them.
So come check out Skate Plex. Come meet Matt. The dude works like a maniac, and he
And
can't in LA.
if I can I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Even if you don't see me at the skating rink, you can see me here at Champs Pizza. So make sure you come see
Hey.
me. Hopefully we can get something going, where we have, you know, maybe a couple of us can actually, you know, go there, just have like a dinner before we go to a skate event, just try to, you know, kick it. You guys can check the place out, you know, and that's anybody that's coming for an event out of town. If you're looking for somewhere to sit down, have a bite to eat, you know, I do know the area pretty well, if you're trying to visit other places or whatnot. So make sure you come see me, whether it's at Champs Pizza, whether it's at the skating rink. Yeah, that's it.
So Champs Pizza, what's the address?
1336 Bristol Pike, and that's in Bensound, PA. It's a Woodhaven shopping center, or they call it the Home Depot shopping center, since that's the big draw there.
Okay.
We are directly next to the AMC movie theater. You know, like I said, it's got a very awesome feel. We got a sports feel to it. As soon as you come in, you know, you'll feel that right away. We have great people, awesome employees. You know, it's like a good vibe in there. We have pretty much whatever you'd want: cheesesteaks, pizza, you name it. We'll get you fed. You know, you won't regret coming there. And yeah, hopefully, like I said, you know, whoever comes up for these events, just come check me out, and I'll be there.
Tell him Magoo sent you. It won't get you a damn thing.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Well, hey, man. Appreciate it, dude. This was
Mark,
fun, man.
thank
I had
you.
a blast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, man. I'll see you
Till
soon.
next time. Have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.